guys, and welcome back to another video. So today's sketchbook doodles video, I kind of split it up into two parts as usual. So the first part's gonna be me painting with gouache, and then the second little doodles will be me painting with watercolor and a little bit of kind of pen work, just to do some tighter lines, cleaner lines and stuff. But let's talk about the first set of doodling. I don't know what to call this per se. I didn't show my pencil doodles on the left side, like what I was doing in my brain, like my process work. As you can see, that little thumbnail in the bottom right of the left page, you guys can see a little girl kind of like tilting her head, and she has these giant puffy sleeves and these kind of like foliage and leaves around her. Now, I know I'm gonna want to paint this in the future, probably either like entirely with watercolors, and I'll do like a larger piece, or I'll do it digitally, but it's a concept like I would like to do. Okay, let me give you some background information on where this came from. So I was working on 17's 6th anniversary illustration, like something kind of simple. I just did a bunch of chibis and stuff, but I really had a hard time focusing on doing the line work and doing the coloring process. I feel like it's because it's been a while since I've done 13 people in one piece, so I needed to put something in the background that was kind of like familiar enough, but also like it will distract me enough from the pain that is line art. So I was putting like Woolim group concerts, if that makes sense. So Woolim is like the label that houses like Infinite, Lovely's, Golden Child, Rocket Punch, and Drippin'. And I don't know if they have any like other artists or like actors or whatever, but that's what I just remember. And Infinite used to be like my top group, like absolutely my top group. And I still really love Lovely's a lot. I think they're one of my favorite girl groups. And I was watching Golden Child's concert. I think it's like on tack concert, and I really liked putting it in the background basically and kind of using it as white noise. But because I am a fan of their music, I was really listening and like singing along and having fun just listening to the concert. But after that finished, because 2 hours wasn't enough, I decided to search up Lovely's, because I remember watching their Winter Wonderland or something like that kind of concerts from the past, but they had a more recent one that someone uploaded, so I decided to watch that instead. And their concept was Deep Forest. Now if you search up Lovely's, I think Deep Forest, or their on tack concert, you'll probably see the aesthetic of it right away. Even if like you just search it into Google, you'll probably find the aesthetic. It's these kind of like deep dark greens and like luscious, I don't know how to like describe this. It's literally just the deep forest. It has beautiful, like almost like magical vibes, but also kind of like royalty. I don't know how exactly to describe it, but it's something I kind of want to explore. I kind of never use like deep greens as much. I lean towards like lighter, more yellowy, kind of muted greens when I'm working on certain pieces, but the deep, vibrant, kind of like almost viridian emerald green, I don't really use. So I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a test. So I believe in the concert, they're wearing these really beautiful kind of like white, almost cream or like beige kind of range of colors for their outfits. And Kay, from the group Lovely's, she was wearing this really puffy dress. It's just like her waistline and her bust area were very like slim, and then her shoulder area was very puffy, and then below, I think almost like the torso down to the waist, is this like really big poofy dress, but it's like short, so like I think it's still above the knee, but it's like tight and then puffy in some areas. And I love the contrast, as well as the contrast between the kind of like beigeish cream, kind of almost, I don't know, like satiny, velvety looking dress. I'm very terrible at like describing this. You guys should just search it up. I believe the teaser photos that you would find on Google's and stuff, like Google Photos, show them with their black outfits, but I really love their cream and white outfits, and with contrast of these dark greens, because I think the first song that they performed had the kind of like those LED screens at the back, and had like the deep forest concept with those really beautiful dark like emerald greens, and it looks so nice. So I kind of wanted to do something similar. So I wanted to surround a kind of like a female figure in the middle with the same outfit that Kay had. I don't know if I'm going to keep the aesthetic that Kay had entirely. I might change up the hairstyle and stuff, or make it a little bit more like, almost like, I mean, visually she's very doll-like, so maybe I could just base it off of her entirely. I'm just not fond of how I specifically drew the hair, and I kind of butcher it when I'm painting. So yeah, I haven't been painting with gouache in a little bit, nor have I been sketching in my sketchbook, hence why I think I skipped last week's video in terms of doing a sketchbook video for Monday. So hopefully I can do a little bit more in the future if it's a little bit more fun to watch, because I feel like I've been just struggling with this one quite a bit. And I think I need to clean my gouache palette, because I had no room to mix any grays or browns or beiges on my palette that were clean enough, because I was getting a lot of these darker mid-tones compared to the lighter areas that I wanted to paint on her dress, like on her sleeves and stuff. I don't know. I think I will try to reattempt this. The like digital drawing that I was doing of Yun Fei, if you came to one of my live streams, I think my most recent live stream, you would have saw me working on a Yun Fei piece, and I was using a lot of like peach oranges and kind of like not deep greens. I was using greens, kind of like teals-ish, mint color, because I really love that color combination. But I kind of want to do something but then flip it by going like high contrast and then more like darker colors, because I think I've already said this like many times before, but I love like lighter color palettes. I like bright colors. I like vibrancy and like clarity. I don't know. I feel like I should do a little bit more like moodier, mysterious, kind of like just a different atmosphere. And I feel like that's an area I would like to explore a little bit more, and explore it in both mediums. But I feel like digitally I'll have a little bit more leeway in terms of experimentation. But I would love to paint more like deep greens by using watercolor, because I haven't done that in a long time. I think the last time I've done it was probably, even the one I did of Minghao wasn't that dark of greens. I did like push some of the greens quite dark, but it wasn't as green, like as dark. But I feel like my Come To Me illustration that I did for 17's vocal unit, where I think I have all 5 chibis in the middle, kind of like in a circle, and then the perimeter of the whole piece has like this foliage and leaves, and I think I was able to push kind of like this foresty dark green into it. So something I should explore in the future. So I should have tried to get better lighting for this, so you guys can't really see how vibrant the greens are in her hair. I kind of prefer how muted and kind of subtle it looks in the camera, but in real life it's a lot more vibrant, a little bit more poppy, and I feel like I shouldn't have made her hair so green because of everything else around her. I think in the future, when I'm gonna play around with this concept again, because I would love to do I think it's like similar to my Masaki one where he has like the brown sweater. I think it's kind of like that similar aesthetic, but I would like to go something more like doll-like, and then have kind of like the, what are those things called? Like lattice fences? I think that's what they're called. They're like beautifully designed, kind of thin, lighter wood that kind of like houses in kind of like plants and stuff, and I would love to do that at the background as well, or do like a really large kind of like thin framed windows, kind of like a greenhouse. So we'll see what we can do, because I would love to do either something a little bit more just like heavily foliage, leaves, like plant based aesthetic, or go towards more like oriental details, if that makes sense. Like ornamental details, I guess, not oriental, ornamental kind of detailing, because I haven't done something like that in a long time, and I feel like I kind of miss the complexity that I can get, and I feel like I got a taste of that if you saw my what picture was that, my Yonhee drawing that I did of Rocket Punch, where I did the lace of her gloves. I didn't show it on stream or on the video that I did last time on Clip Studio Paint, but in Clip Studio Paint you can use like the symmetry rulers and stuff, and you can actually do really cool like lace designs as long as you're following the symmetry and knowing what you're doing. So I was able to put together Yunhee's lace design on her gloves. I didn't do it very well, but it was still fun to do, and I kind of miss having those like intricate designs somewhere in an illustration. So I think that's something I would like to explore more in the future. I need to find the time. I feel like this year and last year have been like the busiest time, where I'm having troubles keeping my priorities straight. Like, I'm either hyper focused in one thing and neglecting everything else, or I'm trying to spread myself too thin and I'm getting nothing done. Because I've been meaning to update the store like forever ago, and I still can't quite yet because I feel like I don't have enough new products I guess, out to validate a store update. My brain's like super scattered right now. It's like, I don't know, everything's just going on. But this is the finished piece of this little kind of like brain dump, I guess, that I had at like 1 a.m. I just doodled a girl that kind of was based off of Kay's like overall aesthetic, and then I did 2 thumbnails, and I still like the thumbnail that I did on the right side of the left page a lot more than the actual finished painting. I just feel like it just looked more peaceful, and I like her face a little bit better. She looks more delicate and a little bit more like swaying, and like, I don't know, this looks cuter in my opinion. So I'll definitely play around with this a little bit more. I just love the ideas of like a figure being engulfed by foliage. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I think like, actually no, I know a lot of people like doing that kind of like concept, I think, so it's definitely not just me. I think it's just because I have a higher interest in plants and stuff nowadays, so yeah. So even though I'm showing you guys closing my sketchbook, because I literally thought I had fair amount of footage in terms of doing a sketchbook doodles video, but I believe I kind of cut the video short because the painting session was just not as fun for me, so I kind of just left the details and stuff quite vague in that piece still, so I wanted to end it early. And today I thought I was gonna actually do more gouache painting, but I decided that I was too tired to film the sketching portion of this, and I had no plan going in, and I knew that was going to end up badly. Like, I could feel it in my soul that if I did gouache painting, I was going to like have the feeling of wanting to rip these pages out of my sketchbook, even though I'm not the type to do that. If there is a mistake, I will leave it in my sketchbook. Whether or not I will cover it is kind of like up to my mood that day. But I decided that I'll just paint these little sketches with watercolor and see how that takes me, because the reason why I don't leave these as watercolor sketches usually is because this paper does leave these little fiber things, like little black dots almost of fiber on the paper when it, like, some areas of water hits the page, and it's not in every area. And I know it's not because I flood the page with water, because sometimes I put just a thin layer of water and it still does it, or if I do a lot of, I don't know, because I can't tell if it's scrubbing at the page or anything, because the thing is that when you touch the little speckles and little dots on the page, they don't have like a physical touch to them. They're just purely like visual, it seems. But because I like things being smooth when I do watercolor, it kind of throws me off a little bit, so I don't do a lot of like just pure watercolor sketches in here with pen anymore until I think I'm gonna get a different sketchbook from a different artist. But for now, and probably for the next sketchbook, because I do have the blue version of this sketchbook and I still think they're very cute and I still can work with watercolor in here, it's just that I have to get over the fact that there's gonna be speckles everywhere. But yeah, I guess like the other issue that I have using the sketchbook is that my favorite pens don't work on the sketchbook paper. It just doesn't want to adhere to the paper, so I'm still struggling to find pens that work well, and today was kind of a bit of a mistake. Yeah, I guess kind of a bit of a mistake. I didn't want to waste more ink from my current pen that I use in the sketchbook, just in case if I do want to do something a little bit more intricate, or I have ideas of doing a whole spread and I do want to use like materials I'm familiar with and I don't want to waste the ink, I guess. So for these ones, because I know I was working more experimental and I'm not going to be too precious with these, I kind of accepted that at this point. So I decided to take my, what are these called? Pilot Kakuno. And I have one in fine and I have one in medium. So I was using the fine for the first part of the inking, but it kept skipping. I think I need to unclog it again, and I have to keep using it so it never clogs as much. My medium tip one works quite fine. If anything, it's dispensing a lot more ink than usual, so I decided to switch over to that, and you're gonna see that I'm gonna have a little bit of issues because the lines are a little bit thicker than what I'm used to, but also the way I'm working is I feel like when I work with pen, because I know it will dry, I kind of work like willy-nilly and kind of just do whatever I want. Like I'll do the eyes first and then I'll do the hair, then the face or something, and then the clothes. But for this, I had to strictly move left to right because I was realizing that while I'm doing like little swatches on the bottom left, that my ink from my medium tip Kakuno pen, fountain pen, is not drying. So yeah, I kind of had to compromise and just do the inking as simple as I could and just be happy with it and don't go like too detailed, because I know it wasn't gonna dry. Like even currently I had a bunch of what is it called, like the backing of sticker paper, and I have that kind of placed in between S Coops and June. By the way, I didn't mention who I was drawing, so I have S Coops on the left and June from the right, and they're both from 17. I just wanted to draw them because I was going to do more snapshot doodles, but I didn't want to use vibrant pink, so I decided to go kind of like the opposite and do kind of more darker colors, and I wanted to go with blue, and I remember the outfits from MIYA were still very cute. But yeah, so I'm trying my best to keep my hand, I guess, at this point, keep my hand off the ink. As you can see, like sometimes I'm touching Coops' hair just to see where it dries, or if it dries, but I had the lighting in such a position that I could see what was still wet, so I could see that nothing was drying. So I'm doing literally everything, coloring it closer to his left side before moving on. But for me, because it's out of habit, I feel like I had to do eyes and hair first, because when I'm working with pen, that's kind of like my favorite part to do. The clothing I don't have a attachment to, just because I feel like for me I do a little bit less detailing for clothing anyways, so more fun comes from inking the hair and the eyes for me if I get them right, because there's just a lot more lines and detailing that I can do. And yeah, I just need more practice with inking for me to have more fun with it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed watching me work a little bit more in my sketchbook, and hopefully I won't skip next week, because I would really like if I could keep up a sketchbook habit, because we are really nearing the end of the sketchbook and it would be nice to move on to the blue version just to have a fresh start again. I did think that I was gonna actually spend a lot longer on the sketchbooks, but you know, it's okay. I'm actually quite glad that I'm working fairly quickly in the sketchbook now, because it means that I'm either having more fun or I'm finding more time to sketch for myself, so that's kind of nice. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching me do kind of like crude painting, crude pen drawing, doodling and stuff, but I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!